John is next, so go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody.
I'm John Lenhart, and I love that last talk. It's amazing. In fact, that kind of feeds into what I'm talking about. So, in 1986, Procter & Gamble, a consumer product company, not a General Motors company, embraced Deming, and Deming came in and trained all the best projects going on in Procter & Gamble, and they had consultants to do this. And one of the projects was liquid Tide. And they struggled with that, and after 6 months of getting nowhere, and it just wasn't working, I got pulled in to run that project. I never needed the Deming training. In 3 months, I dissolved the problem, and the whole way I was attacked by the Deming consultants and by the people in Procter & Gamble who got trained, because they said, you were literally doing the opposite of what Deming is saying. Now, before I left Procter & Gamble, I walked around the building for an hour every day, and I talked to other project managers. So when I left Procter & Gamble, I left with the experience of over 200 multi-million-dollar projects. In fact, after I left, Procter & Gamble outlawed, banned the ability of people to walk around and talk to people. So I went to Dow Chemical, worked on spray and wash. I ended up winning the 1990 Dow Chemical Central Research Inventor of the Year award with another person who didn't have a PhD. I'm the youngest inventor of the year in the history of Dow Chemical. While I was there, we invented a chemical as infinitely soluble oil and infinitely soluble water. While I was there, the World Congress of Chemical Engineering said, we need to put science to formulation and test method development. And everything I did after that was science to formulation and test method development. Two things that are both systems, and everybody thought it was all art. There was no way to intentionally do it. So I went to work for Dial because my non-competes with Procter & Gamble were up. So now I'm working on Purex. And what happened while I was there is while I was there, I talked to my friends back at Procter & Gamble, what's going on with quality? Their motto is, quote, F quality, beat the competition. So that's where Procter & Gamble went to by that time. They were just done with the whole thing. While I was at Dial, I invented and got to market Ultra Purex powder in 42 days. Moreover, having me come in and give a talk and they take me on that. I got classic Purex out, invented and out in less than a week. And when I worked on liquid Purex, I got liquid Purex to be #1 overall detergent in 14 of the 55 IRI markets. We took Purex from number 13 detergent to #2, almost beat Tide from Procter & Gamble. Again, doing everything literally the opposite. Because we're dealing with people. So much what you're talking about is dealing with people. When we bring people in the equation, how do we bring about quality and all that stuff? So from there, what happened was I went to Johnson Wax. Now my non-competes with Dow were up. So now I can go work for Johnson Wax. And while I was there, the president said, hey, Shout isn't, in the 17-year history of Shout, we've been #1 in the consumer test, #1 internal test, and we never beat spray and wash. Why is that? And I opened my mouth and said, well, we must have the wrong internal test and consumer test. And I got a lot of trouble for saying that. But what I did was, I modeled the market, and I changed the consumer test to mirror the market. Then I changed the internal test to mirror the consumer test. We took 6 weeks to reformulate all the SKUs of Shout. In 6 months, we were #1. 2 years later, we bought out our competition. Again, doing everything literally the opposite of what a lot of people were doing. Now, in July of '93, in the Wall Street Journal, they posted an article. Procter & Gamble was going through its first mass layoffs. They were laying off 12% of their workforce, 13,000 people. And the first sentence said, Procter & Gamble was laying off all these people because of products like Purex from Dial. They didn't pay them so much out of them, they now had to change things around, they had to do other things. The Vice President Johnson Wax asked me what I wanted to work on, and I decided I wanted to pick the most subjective product you could, because I want to bring science to something everybody says you can't bring science to. So what I did was I worked on fragrance. How do you measure fragrance? How do you intentionally design? How do you describe the fragrance of numbers? How do you do that? Well, while I was doing that, we had been selling Glade candles. And we sold 7 million units of Glade candles, and we had 7 major malfunctions. One burned down a trailer, one burned down an apartment complex. They pulled 50 of the single rooms from all over the company and said, hey, this is your project now. You have to solve this problem. Don't work on your current project, work on this. Because we're going to have to put $50 to $100 million aside for nuisance lawsuits. Every time somebody's house burned down, they go, oh, it's because I have Glade candle. And then we have to investigate it. 2 weeks to the day they announced that, 49 people quit. 3 weeks to the day, I got 2 candles to spit, burning on fire wax 2 feet away from the candle. The public never had to know about this situation. And I got 2 tickets to see the movie Mission Impossible because I saw the Impossible Mission, which I still have both tickets, by the way. So from there, what happened, and I would love to present the following. I'm going to do a real short thing, but I'd love to present this project to all of you. I was tasked with trying to explain why people couldn't smell plugins. Plugins is an air freshener you plug in the wall. It works 45 days, but after 21 days, people can't smell it. And what I did was I found out why. I had the model for how the human nose and brain are connected. It became a trade secret. I was not allowed to share this with anybody in the world, not even the experts at the Monell Institute, which are the chemical senses, your sense of smell, sense of taste, or chemical senses. I wasn't allowed to share this with anybody. Okay. Well, what happened was, from that data, like I said, I love to teach us, I saw that everybody's model for the brain is wrong. And I could show you to you graphically. And from then, that's what I did, is I spent the next 10 years of my life coming up with a model for the mind and the brain. And I spent that time, even though, I went on to become basically the CEO of a company, and I turned it into a blue pen company. While I was doing that with a blue pen, because I understood how the brain worked, I was able to turn this company into a blue pen company. So what happened was, we had this information, and I was told by a psychology professor, this is totally wrong, you're doing science all wrong, you're supposed to do a basic analysis and synthesis. And then in 2015, an article, a magazine of neuroscience came out, and this is what it said, because I had a psychology professor say, look, you're talking about there's these neural circuits, and everything's an effect of that behavior. We don't do that. We look at discrete parts of the brain, and we see what damages them, and then that's what behavior is. In 2015, the editor from this magazine wrote the following at the start. The biggest thing we've learned in 2013 is today we understand the focus should be on neural connections, how the specific circuits in the brain, rather than discrete brain regions, influence behavior. I want to help a group of people who are focused on thinking about thinking, be able to measure thinking. That's what I've done, is I have a way to measure thinking, and that's what I help people do. I thought everything I did was just the opposite, and then I helped a consultant who would work for GM, and he would tell me about all these consultants, and every time he named a consultant, I would say, that guy's hurting people long term. He helps them short term, but he's hurting people long term. And so what happened was, he said, well, you're this guy, ACOP. Never heard of ACOP. I researched it, I'm like, this is what I'm doing. I wasn't doing something no one else had done. I was doing what ACOP actually was doing. And then 8 months ago, I get mentored. I've been being mentored by Bill. And what Bill's helped me realize is I am actually doing the system of profound knowledge if you take all 4 circles and measure. In my opinion, the system of profound knowledge is one-dimensional. And if you take each of those 4 circles, measure them, and optimize them, that's what I've been doing. So I haven't been doing something the opposite of Deming. I've been doing something that Deming, I think, was shooting for, and that most people don't see yet. But I don't speak the language. Like I was in a conversation yesterday about variety and variation. You guys talk so fast. I understand what those 2 words mean, but I cannot keep up with you, Chad, when you talk about that. It just goes over my head. But this stuff has been proven in education, and that's basically what I'm here to do, is I want to offer people the ability to understand thinking about thinking in a system for time thought, so thank you.